of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, will you please call the roll?
Ronald Polly.
Here.
Brett DeRoche.
Here.
Mitch Daniels. Roland Curall. Roland Guidry.
Here.
Brian Martz.
Here.
Neely Rome.
Here.
Keith Guidry.
Here.
Monty Bates.
Here.
Mr. President, we have one.
Okay, you've been provided a copy of the minutes for the last meeting. Any correction, additions, or deletions of the minutes as presented? Moved by Max, second by Brett. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. I just have one item that's to remind you of the ALBL meeting, December the 8th and 9th. Mayor will be making a reservation for whoever cares to go. My understanding, it'll be just like a regular, normal meeting. With no restrictions, as of right now. We got one idea, but as of right now, there's not supposed to be restrictions. But if you didn't plan to go, contact Mayor, make sure she makes the arrangements for you. Anybody here in the audience for the purpose of addressing the board? If not, we'll move over to our regular agenda. Wendell?
Here, we'll do a little short presentation again. Yeah, just kind of remind people we had Hurricane Rita. It hit the Texas-Louisiana line, and yet we had water, and high water from Golden Meadow all the way to the Intercoastal Rolls. We only had about a 3-foot differential between what we had at Golden Meadow. This is the Clovelly area. When we got on the ground after the hurricane and rode the whole levee system, to see exactly where the debris line was. At Clovelly, the debris line was on top of the levee, which tells us that some water got in. But we just barely survived that storm by not having some serious flooding. Now, we had a project ready to go, in fact, at Clovelly, and the storm hit us before we could even get started. By the time Ike hit, and Ike was very similar to Rita, big, slow-moving storm that pushed the water high on both ends. But by that time, we had built that project, and there was a good 3 to 4 feet between the water line and the top of the levee. But because the storm hit so far away, we were able to get in the air. I think with the parish president and the sheriff, we were able to get in there before the water got completely down. But again, the system worked. It kept the water out, and but it got real close, and we just continue our building. Of course, this was just a couple of months after Katrina had destroyed New Orleans. Yeah, this water level was probably a good 3 foot lower than when it was at its height. And this is kind of near the area locally where the water did get over the top. But again, it wasn't even enough to pond water on the inside. Didn't even find any. And that's the rapid flow, is the corner where you have the camps on the outside. And again, down at the Ontario flood gate, and you see outrageous going into LA1, going under water. Whether it's a tropical storm or a hurricane, we had LA1 continue to go under. And again, the elevated highway, I talked to Marie today, and pretty soon they'll be getting some contracts written up to get the beginning of the elevated highway going. And then the other thing is that, look, we have not flooded since Hurricane Juan. We've had storms get closer, we just saw with Rita. But just again, warn people that we know Hurricane Levee is good, we know that we're getting better, getting the levee higher. But when you look at this, Katrina, right where they show the storm, if you look the direction it's heading right for the terrible Levee. And if it had stayed on that route, just to give you an example, the storm hit Waveland, Mississippi, the worst of it hit Waveland. Waveland is about 20 feet above sea level, where the railroad tracks are. That storm was 28 feet, and water went all the way to the embankment of I-10 on elevation that high. You know, so if that storm had gone through, there's no doubt we would have been totally destroyed. And just so everybody understands, anybody from Bronzeville, Texas, throughout the Gulf Coast, throughout the East Coast, all the way up to Maine, anybody gets a 28-foot storm surge gets destroyed. You know, every coastal city. You know, we talk about Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy. It pushed an 8-foot storm surge in New York, and you saw what kind of damage it had. When you think about 28 feet. So, just so we remind everybody that if there's a powerful storm, hopefully you move out, let the system protect your property, get to naturally high ground. And that's going to be the parish to give those recommendations. But we just want to warn people that we can't guarantee that if the water's high in the levee, you're not going to win. Okay, that's one thing we know. Now, the highest water we've ever gotten is 8 feet. But it just takes one storm, we just need to be aware of it and pay close attention. And there's the work that's going on. This is some work that we're doing. We're raising the levee all the way to the farm that ConocoPhillips Apache has. That's where Paul has the farm. And we've got an 18-foot elevation, then it ties to a 13-foot levee. What we want to do is bring that levee closer to 16 feet. So to get things started, I call it going when we have the ability to expend some money. And so we got them started early, but we want to try to bring that 14 to 16 feet. Now, what I'd like, and later when we go to the regular meeting, we can spend up to $250,000 without having to advertise, and we can leave these people working on that until we get to that level. So we have two companies, small companies that are doing the work for us, and we'd like for the board to, when we get that board, to approve what we've already done and then to limit those contractors in that project at $250,000 in our attempt to get it to 16. But if we get to 14 with that money, we get to 14. But improve that system, and that's going to bring us to where the bridge connects to that farm. Now, after that point, it's going to take it down to 13, because we don't expect that water to go over the two levees and still stay up at that 60-foot elevation. And basically, we're digging out some dry dirt along the bank. Later, we'll go back and go in the water and then fill back in where we took the dry dirt out. Dry dirt's going to end up on top of the levee. You can see he's digging right to the water line. Get the dry dirt up. Later, we'll come back with the machine and fill back in the portion that we dug that was dry. And then this is the work that's going on from pump station number 2 toward that site. This is a 20 foot. This is a 20-foot elevation, this levee, and it's 20, and typically will be finished at 18, but it's still being raised. So there's a lot of this area that's still 13, some of it 14. We're not going to have it completed by this hurricane season, but it will be ready for next hurricane season. That's a section between pump station number 2 and 4, Apache 4. That's that same area, some of the different work. Over here, we're right around about 14-foot elevation right here. That's outside the system. Here we raised this is about the ballpark of 16 in this area here. that's on the outside of the system. And then this is where we did the form, this is the mitigation for the Morganza project. And it's finally starting to fill in real good. And it's good, it's a little bit high, it's taking a little while to grow, but it means it's gonna last and not go over water a long time. So it's a little bit harder than what you need to for March, but it'll slowly get there and get vegetated. This is some other work, some of the other projects that, again, ConocoPhillips, Ducks Unlimited, the parish, CPRA, but Ducks Unlimited and CPRA, Ducks Unlimited and Apache, teaming up, ConocoPhillips and Ducks Unlimited, I'm sorry. They put and protected with marsh or terraces, probably 10 miles of our levee, right on the outside to help protect it. So it's been a great partnership. And does, it's good environmentally, and it's good that it's on the edge of the levee protecting the levee. You can see the new growth that was in open water, and then right here, everything in brown, that was there before, and this bright green, that was water before they did the project with the small dredge. And here's at the edge of that project, they went back into terraces. And then this is terraces. This was the old Christmas tree project that was a nice idea to get people involved, but they weren't very successful in this area. And then before they put the terraces, we put a plastic sheet pile to make sure we didn't lose any more of the edge of the levee. And you can see it was starting to grow in here, and it was effective, but now we feel real comfortable. Unfortunately, the contractor that was working inside the system to build the levee between the park and getting the former Apache, we had hoped that we'd get out during the middle of winter. Well, they've been a little bit too slow, and they just got out a couple of weeks ago. And so they did cut it. If they would have gone early, we'd probably let them cut it deeper, but they cut it. Got their barges out, and the levee's been rebuilt and replaced and packed and compacted. So we're back to where we were before, which is a good situation. And again, this is what they cut down to. But it's in good shape now. And this is one area that we had taken some dirt. We're gonna have to work out a system to be able to recoup the dirt that's right on the edge of this wet stuff. So we'll fill this in somehow and then be able to take that dirt in the future. Again, so the projects on the side, this was some marsh that was made in 2010, and it's still looking great, and it's on the outside of the container. So some of the things are going good. Here's the work behind Golden Meadow, at the Golden Meadow pump station. And we had a 13-foot level of protection at that wall, and we had the levee up to 17. Now we got the wall up to 17. And here's where it used to be concrete. We've got that filled in all the way to the ramp that we have. And it used to be to this level, and now we got all the way to 17. So this was the lowest spot we had on the southern part of the system. We're glad we've got it done. The only reason we waited that long is we knew that even if it got over top, we weren't going to lose that wall. You had a splash pad, you had the ear-frame supporting it, but water could have gotten in and caused some localized flooding. But now, not to say we won't get over top. It's going to take a heck of a lot more water to get over the top of this wall that's been raised to 17 feet. This is the levee at D South. This is near the Yankee Canal area. The farm, Schwartz's farm right now. And the contract, we hadn't finished, but we've got this up. It's close to 16. We're trying to get it at the 17, 18. But we've improved the levee at this spot. And Brasco is working that same area. And then with the south winds, that's Delta Farms Road. This is the northern part of our system. And you got roads being over top. But again, our system kept the water away from the people that live on Delta Farms Road, and just this portion was underwater. We had some problems. We have a culvert that goes through. When the water finally drops, we open this culvert to drain that water, because there are some cattle, and then of course you got the Delta Farms Road that goes underwater. And we had this fabricated, this pipe fabricated to efficiently get the water out, so that's it coming from outside. And this is just to show you that we have the drainage for the front people. Their pipe can easily get its water in there also without causing any backup. And we can do both of them where both groups can do well. There's, the Congress is looking at reauthorizing the flood insurance program. And that's, you know, they're talking about this flood risk 2.0, and it doesn't look good, okay? We've got some real concerns, because now they're saying that they're just gonna deal with the information that they have, the computer models that they have. And we were working with this SWAT project where everything we push that they do this, but go down, talk to the engineers, go see the projects on the ground, and give them credit. If they're there and they do their work, give them credit. Well, the LAMP process, now the feds do have this. And what it says and what it's showing is that our levee system is keeping out the highest water that's on the outside. And so they're showing some building elevations. Right now you gotta build to 2.5, 3, and 3.5, okay? They're showing some places in here at a -3. And that's because of rainfall. Then you know, the land, like say inside the globe is at a -9, and you can build at a -4 in there. So you still got a lot of space between the ground and where you would build at. If we can, you know, now that they have this, we think we can force them to say, look, you have this, you provided this information, use it, maybe we'll do okay, but we're just not sure what direction they go with it. But this is good news for us. It gives us a chance to keep the preferred risk that a lot of our people have.
Don't turn it on yet, wait on the button.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And this is the work that's going on with the project in Grand Bayou, North Carolina. Competition going in Oregon City.
Mitch called and said if necessary that they can get underway Wednesday and have it on an emergency basis in place if we have a storm.
Yeah, Laura, I've been talking to Laura's been telling us that, you know, once we get it over there, whether it's fully connected or not, but they're taking precautions to, and prepared to actually install it right when it gets there. Laura can report that. It's all good news, by the way. All good stuff.
It's on its wings.
No, they're supposed to be on the way next week, but I think if this storm does develop and they need it, they can get it on the way by Wednesday and installed.
And we'll talk about it some more. Laura's got all this. Almost looks like she works there.
Wasn't more money, that's why.
Yeah. But the CDR levy, you know, we made
Who's the contractor?
we talked about the work that's being done. I'd like to have a vote allowing us to go up to $250,000 to raise the levy on CDR.
You heard the recommendation by town manager to appropriate up to $250,000 to raise the section of the levy from the basal pump station north.
No, this is the.
To the form.
It's a form that,
That section
action
which is
form.
Actually
to
inside
that
the
bridge.
other, actually inside the other levy, so, I need a motion in second, moved by Monty, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
I'd like to authorize, allow me to negotiate an agreement with South Alligator Farm so we can we've got a water line, and we have to attach a water line, so we can handle pump station number 2. And there's an agreement in here that's already written, and I'm gonna sit down and negotiate with him, see if he's willing to sign it. If not, we'll just have to do the forwards out of tank, and we just keep on. Our pump went bad, so this might be an easier way, we'll see if we can get that accomplished. And you've got to authorize me to.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation on town manager to authorize him to negotiate Southwest Alligator pump form to connect to their line to be able to provide water for the district, for the pump station. Your wishes, gentlemen, moved by Rhoda, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
And we have to use up for restore retreat again, if you're all willing to, that resolution that we do.
We request, we generally give them $500, we'd like to continue that. Moved by Brett, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
We updated our emergency manual, a few phone numbers changed, but we have to authorize that we accept the manual has changed.
Okay, you need to authorize to accept them as a change. Okay, you heard the recommendation of the general manager to accept the updated emergency operations manual. Moved by Roland, second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And we had gotten quotes on lawn service, we have an agreement there, and we'd like to vote to allow the board president to sign the agreement for this lawn service. And what we'll do, this is kind of experimental, we'll go through it this year, at the end of the year, we'll look at what it costs us and compare it to what, our cost of doing it, and we can make a decision for the future on how we're gonna handle
And that's furniture, personnel, the equipment, everything.
it. Everything.
We have no, all they just come do, it's like a turnkey operation.
Yeah, they have got their insurance, they handle everything,
Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, second by Roland and Curran. In discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And it's the end of the fiscal year, we always do an amendment to the budget to make it more accurate. The budget's in your packet, we'd like you to approve that amended budget for this year.
Okay, the amended budget is in there. I need a motion to approve that as second. Moved by Mac, second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And then we were looking at our agreements, and we had 3 agreements that have expired. And that's our fault, we're gonna get to that point. All of them, I've contacted everybody. One of them was Globally Farms. We had extended it 6 months, figuring that was good enough. And they've allowed us to, we've had enough dirt to continue extending the work that we're doing on Globally Farms. And it went out, so we need to get an agreement and allow an extension on that one. We have another agreement with Galliana Cattle Company, and that's in the D-South area, the Schwest Farm. I've talked to them, they have no problem doing it, but we need to, give you permission to sign that extended situation.
Let's vote on those two, because that was a
Yeah.
little bit different. Hey, gentlemen, you've heard the recommendations of our general manager to extend the agreement between Globally Farms and Galliana Cattle Company to continue allowing us to move dirt from that area there to build our levee. No wishes. Vote on it, seconded by Keith, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, motion carries.
And then the third one is our governmental consultant, Mary Patricia Reed, who's been working through this legislative session. We hired her because, Reggie had passed away, and we didn't have a representative. Now that Joe's there, he's learned this year, and she's worked with him. But the contract ran out at the beginning of May. I would suggest that we go ahead and agree to extend it for this past May and June, to pay her for the work that she's done, because she continued to work with it. We had talked about this, we forgot to take some action on it. So I'd like to give the board president the right to extend the contract to the month of May and June.
Okay, with a recommendation by the general manager to extend the contract with Mary Patricia Reed. I think it's $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Right, probably received like $4.5 million worth of
Yeah, last year we had
stuff.
$100 million.
So it's worth our while to go ahead and renew it. It's expired, so we need to renew it till the end of June, and then we'll discuss what we can do next year with our new representative. No
Oh,
wishes.
so it's no, didn't matter if it's 6 months, just.
No, that's just this 2
2
months.
months,
and
and
then-
Joe's in all.
Yeah.
Okay, moved by Max, second by Monty, in discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, motion carries.
Okay, and then cash flow from Organza. $4 million we're requesting to come in. We think this is the last of the big money that we'll be out of, so we can not have to have an issue with cash flow. That's, it's $4 million is gonna be in the treasury back for us, and we will be spending it,
What's the time of
we'll be talking within a month or two, we can have this $4 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been, ever since we had all the hurricane work, and then having the Grand Bayou project, that's what, both come at the same time, so there's a lot of money we have in cash flow. And it's been coming quickly. We sat down with Reggie and with the people at the state and said, look, you gotta move that money quick so we can get it back, so we can spend it on our project. And everybody cooperated. We didn't run short of money at all. It worked out, and we're just about to end the big money being out. So it worked out well. Just wanted to report that to you. Give us the right to advertise the sheet vinyl and to give some to Terrebonne. Just letting y'all know that I'm ready to get that done. We didn't get a chance to do it yet, but we're working with Reggie, and we will be advertising it real soon. I mentioned the National Flood Insurance Program. The Watershed Initiative, we had requested $5 million to give us enough money to complete the lock. And we also, in helping Morganza, looked at 2 water control structures that we had for our mitigation that's part of that system. And we were rejected to all 3. This was there wasn't much money there. There's 5 different districts, all got $5 million, and that's not for any money to do anything. But the governor had $6 million that he could put anywhere. And they said one of the big issues is because it comes through HUD, you have to have people with the lower end of the economic spectrum, and we don't have enough poor people yet. But if it's not the oil issue long enough, we'll start getting some of those. Okay. But there's another round coming. We're gonna give a shot. We also got the word out to a lot of different places that the need that we have. We had great cooperation with the parish president and with the support commission, working with us to try to get that last $5 million to get that project going. The Beton Canal structure by Lafourche, we've had John Claiborne look at some ideas. We think it's time that we can now get a siphon at Beton Canal. And that way we can finally really start controlling the body. Right now, we can handle 0.2 of a foot, 24 hours using a siphon at Yankee Canal. We get the siphon here, we can start working 4 to 6 tenths of a foot in 24 hours. That's a lot of control. And if we get that lock in place, then we're gonna not have a problem with water going over the road and all of that. Another benefit that's going on with that, and I just want to make y'all aware of it, and it looks like siphons are the best thing to do. I got the report in about a week ago. The other thing is that if we do get that lock, the lock with those 2 structures, we're not gonna have a problem anymore. So I mean, we're gonna have real control of the body. Right now, that's not gonna help us out a lot, but, you know, it's like, if we get too much rain, we've had a whole day that we couldn't get boats through because the water would be in the town of Golden Mill. But with this other one there, it's gonna be a rare occurrence when we can't at least do the cycle that we usually do at the roads when it's closed.
Now, when the 2 and 4 inch percent, are you talking about that includes the area that we're talking about damming off?
Right now, once we,
Out of it.
once we take, if we ever get that project completed, that is gonna knock out, probably 45 to 50% of that. So all of a sudden, all of that improves. I mean, if we get these things done, we'll have total control of the fire. You know, and no one's gonna have to worry, because with what they're doing in Golden Meadow, the highway department kind of listened to us, and they are raising the asphalt. We think instead of 0.3, we might go up to 0.4, 0.5. Now, once we get there, we have to start looking at what's associated, and we gotta look at where Tommy Duce's house is. You know, that becomes an area we have to watch for to make sure we don't let the water get high enough, the mine get high enough to go over that area. But it's all on the plus side, it's all good stuff. It's been very uncomfortable having to deal with the siphons, and you siphoning water into the pump system in places that the people need also the drainage on the backside. So are we gonna flood them over the road, or are we gonna flood them from the back? And it's just, we'll get out of that situation pretty quickly if we can get those projects done. Any questions? Another issue we have is, I'll show you the Delta Farms Road, when the water gets about a 1.7, when it starts getting on the road. It's happened several times. We have to get fuel to our pump station back there. And the road on the water then becomes a problem, okay? So, one engineers came up with a cost of a road and improving the berm that we would put the road on, and that way the levee, that would be on the inside of that levee along the Delta Farms Road. The estimated cost is $576,000. Right now, we'll take a look and maybe look at some alternative things we can do that might be a lot less expensive. Now, strengthening the berm is good, but because we have a road and there's some dry dirt and everything, but before, there's other parts of Section F we really need to do a lot of berm work and get done. This is one of the places that the least need. So we'll talk about and look at some different ideas, and if this becomes the best idea, that's something we can look at. But, if you all don't want to have a discussion, maybe call the executive committee meeting and go for some of these projects. The Go Mesa projects, the word we're getting from the state, CPRE, is that some money for the berm on Section F, that's that area from Delta Farms Road to Clover. The berm is low, and we've had some seepage, and we don't want to take a chance, you know, at all on having a seepage issue at all. So, and I know when the Corps built that project, there were a lot of shells. They had run into some bad shells, and there's a lot in there, so we can't take a chance. So we're looking at doing that project. That's the next one in line, and that's money from CPRE. And then we promised the Corps when we improved the wall along the coastal that we just finished a couple of years ago, that we would try to put a vessel impact barrier. Because their rules, they don't put a wall near a waterway without putting something to stop any boats from going into it. And it's not that we disagree with it, but we needed the wall first, to get at least the flood protection first. Now let's look at protecting the wall. And there's another $1 million that the state is looking at providing that to us by this coming fall to take care of that. And that's what.
There's a pipe we got from
Well, and that's what we're gonna do. Well, we're looking at that pipe to do that. We're also looking at that pipe to maybe use with our lock. So whenever the money becomes available, we'll sit down and look at what's the best use of those pipes and make a choice on it, whether we want to go for the impact barrier or go. And again, Reggie's here, we want to thank them for sharing those pipes. That's probably a $200,000 savings to us, having that donated by Terrible. Oh, one thing we didn't get on the agenda, so we had a bid opening today for, at pump station number 2, the number 3 pump had to be repaired, and we'd like to have a vote, allow us to put it on the agenda, and then we'll talk about what the bids came.
Okay, we need to change, amend the agenda to reflect the bids on the publication number 2, pump number 3 repairs estimates of bids coming in. We need a motion to add that to the agenda. Moved by Matt, second by Brett. Any questions, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, you're on the agenda.
Okay, and Mary's gonna give you what the bids came in, and this is a pump and pump station number 2, it's a 36-inch pump, and it's got some new problems, so we can do it, get it fixed in place. The low bid was Bowling Marine at $57,000. And, well, $57,275. Then Bollinger was at $58,858. And Cohagen was $83,395.
Where is Bowling Marine?
Yours. Yeah, both Bowling and Cohagen are both in Yours area. So,
You been on
Oh,
adding to the agenda?
together with the agenda.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a roll call. Sorry about that. All in favor of, adding to the agenda, please signify by saying aye as you will call the roll, or nay.
Ronald Collins,
Yes.
Brett DeRoche, Roland Curall,
Yes.
Roland Guidry,
Yes.
Brian Marks,
Yes.
McNeely Rome,
Yes.
Keith Guidry,
Yes.
and Monty Vegas.
Yes.
It's not added officially.
now we leave.
So 58 for Bollinger and 57 for Bowling, and Bowling is out of New Orleans.
Right.
Is there any variance in amounts you give preference to local bidder?
You can't, I mean, you know, when you advertise, it's you know, it's gotta, you gotta go a little bit unless there's a reason.
Okay, gentlemen, you have the recommendation by engineers to give to Bowling Marine $57,275. And how much time are you talking about? You gave a time limit?
Yeah, we're doing 10 weeks.
56?
How much is it, 10 weeks?
It's 56 days, whatever that comes out to be. That's 9 weeks.
56 days.
56 days. Yeah, 9 weeks.
Okay, gentlemen, your wishes. Need a motion?
Move.
Moved by Keith, second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Okay, that's all I
Any
have.
surprise?
That's all I have.
That's it? Okay, any questions of Brian? When you, if you don't have a question, Brian, it's fine with me.
Brian can answer more.
Okay, we'll move on to our engineer. And
Seven.
CPRA.
Yeah, and with the CPRA, the only thing I had was, what Wendell already touched on, was the 2 new Domesa funded efforts, Section F berm and the Rose flood wall impact barrier. Those agreements are being drafted right now, so that was it.
Any questions on that? Thank you, Dan. Okay, Corps of Engineers, no one there, project engineers. Monsieur Associates, Joe?
Yes, on the E-North levee improvements, Grand Isle Shipyard is the contractor. He's working on hauling material on site for the levee section. He's in the 3rd pit. He didn't get a whole lot done last month because of the weather, but the last dry week or so, he's been doing a lot of progress. About 1,100 feet north of the turn at Clovelly, and they continuing to work that way
The turn.
after the Superior Dock.
After Superior.
Yeah. So, and they have some excess material, so we're gonna work with them to try to move that excess material further north. We do have a pay application number 13 in the amount of $8,883.72. We recommend you pay that.
And who is the contractor?
Grand Isle Shipyard.
You heard the recommendation of engineers to pay Grand Isle Shipyard, pay request number 13, in the amount of $88,83.72. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Bonnie, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Okay, on section levy, section F levy improvements, onshore materials, the contractor. He's currently on site hauling material in the levee section. He too kind of had some rough times last month, but he is on there working steadily now. There's no pay application this month for that project. On the Golden Meadow Pump Station flood wall, Sea Level Construction is a contractor. He's on site, he's nearing completion, he's got some paint touch-up to do, and he's working on the both ends, the tie-ins, he's moving dirt in there, and he's gotta bring in the articulated mats, and then, he should be finished in the next couple of weeks, provided we have good weather. We do have pay application number 8 in the amount of $58,657.73, and we do recommend you pay that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation, engineers, to pay request number 8 in amount of $58,657.73. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Monty. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
On the maintenance of the South Floodgate Circle LLC is the contractor. This project's complete. The lien period is complete, and we're expecting that they deliver a clear lien certificate to us any day now. So we've got the pay application number 5, which is the retainage, and we're asking that you approve that contingent upon receipt of the clear lien certificate. And that amount is $28,813 even.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineers based on their providing us with the proper certification. So we pay Circle LLC, payment number 5 in the amount of $28,813. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, and the LaRose Lock project, we've been working with Window on trying to secure funding, but the project plans are at a 95% completion level. We're preparing to send that to the Corps of Engineers this week for them to start their review, detailed review of our plans and specifications, and kind of see how that goes. We've been working with the Corps for the last couple of months on trying to get an expedited review process, and we'll continue working with them on that.
Okay, do you have any questions of Joe? Thank you, Joe.
And on D South Phase 3, which is a continuation of excavating borrow material at the Yankee Canal Pump Station. We have the project plans complete. We're all approved by CPRA, and we are currently advertising the bids. We're going to accept bids on June the 29th at 2 p.m.
Any questions, Joe?
Thank you.
Moving on to GIS engineering, Laura.
Good afternoon. All right, first project update is 8 East Bayou Water Retention. We are still waiting on the Corps permit. The plans and specs are complete. The 2 outstanding items are, we're still coordinating with pipeline utilities for crossing agreements, as well as we develop the servitude requirements, and I believe legal has those for review. So once we get those 2 things lined up, we should be ready to go out for bids. The next project, D South Flood Wall, Phase 1. We did issue the notice to proceed to Sea Level May 14th. They've been doing some prefabrication stuff at their yard, and I believe next week they're going to mobilize.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So that pushed back a little bit. It was supposed to be this week, but 2 weeks they're going to mobilize to the site. That's for the Phase 1. Which is the raising the 2 outer brace wall sections. The Phase 2, CPRA has those plans and specs, and we're waiting for their review and comments on that one. The next update, D North Ramp. We took bids back in April. John, I guess, updated y'all last month, but the bids came in kind of way over budget. So the path forward is that we are going to separate that. The first project is going to be to excavate and just kind of stockpile the material. So we're working on getting that package together. From there, we'll do 1 to construct and then repave the road. So the item that I have for your review and approval is amendment number 3, and that's for our engineering contract, and that is in the amount of $10,047, and that's to do these additional bidding.
That's the GIS.
Yes.
You've read the recommendation of engineers to increase the payment of $10,097 for GIS for this particular project. And your wishes, gentlemen. Nobody. I'll second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
All right, so Grand Bayou, I'll start at the flood wall receiving structure site. So the focus there has been to get the cutoff wall complete. So they've been driving the sheet piles. The divers are on site today. They're making sure that there's no rock in the way. And then I think they're gonna be back in 2 days so that they can weld on the cap plate. So we are kind of fluid, I guess, in our scheduling for this week, knowing that we're watching for any storm developments. So, in a perfect world, the plan was going to be, they painted the barge over the weekend. The launch was successful, it's upright, y'all saw that. So they were gonna wait until Friday to transport it to the site, so it would get there late Sunday, so that they weren't trying to install on Father's Day. And then they were gonna install on Monday, and the plan being that as soon as the gate arrives, they were gonna drive to Pivot Pile, so they would be able to close it. So as we're watching this development, it takes 30 hours to transport it. So also, kind of back up, the barge can be manually operated right now. The subcontractor is waiting on some parts for the automation. So as long as we can leave it at Conrad for them to get all that installed, it's easier access. But again, if need be, if it needs to leave on Wednesday, it could be there Friday, then they can install it late Friday, early Saturday.
A manual operator, I assume you mean you could sink it in place?
Yes.
How long it would take to do that? Do you have any idea? Manually?
I know, I'm trying to think, I'm thinking we're in an hour. Yeah. All right, let's see. So on the receiving structure, we do have recommendation for sea level for pay request number 17. That is in the amount of $607,222.75.
Okay, gentlemen, you heard a request from engineers to pay sea level, pay request number 17, the amount of $607,222.75. Moved by Keith, second by Brian, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
All right, the next item, this is a Hurricane Zeta request. That's pay request number 18, and this is for limestone maintenance of the access road for the Knockhands, and that is in the amount of $11,576.27. And it's our recommendation that you pay that.
The recommendation of engineers to pay request number 18, $11,576.27. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Rowland, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
And the final pay app request, that's number 8, and that is for the barge floodgate. This is in the amount of $823,976.91, and it is recommended that you pay.
Okay, the engineers recommended this sea level, payment number 8 in the amount of $823,976.91. It just rolls off the tongue sometimes.
You should be here for money.
Moved by Keith, second by Rowland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
And then finally, I just keep Hurricane Delta and Zeta updates on here, so there's no new action. Like I said, we're doing access road maintenance, and then any assistance that All South needs on the FEMA coordination. Thank you.
Any questions of Laura? Thank you. Next, Angela Pichot.
All right, on B North and B South Levee, this is based on pump stations to the Golden Meadow Park. The work on that project is complete. That was Pontchartrain Partners. And today we're recommending approval of their substantial completion as of May 15th.
No money, just,
Not yet,
that's just coming.
and probably in 2 months.
Good, so you're asking for a declaration of substantial
Yes, sir.
completion acceptance on our part. Moved by Keith, second by Roland, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
On the Seaside levee improvement, this is from the base on pump station going north to Apache Farm. That contract is Grand Isle Shipyard. Work is continuing, it's going well, and we're recommending approval of their pay request number 13 in the amount of $21,299.76.
Okay, you got the recommendation, the request of the 13, amount of $21,299.76. Your wish to remove. Moved by Mitch, second by Mac, excuse me, Mitch is not here. Monty, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Okay, next project is Lafourche flood wall height improvements. This is from the intersection at Intercoastal and Lafourche, going all the way back to the overpass on 308. We're adding on about 3.5 feet to that existing flood wall. Sea level construction is the contractor. Right now, we're doing a lot of fabrication at their shop in Thibodeau, but they do have a crane on site. They brought in this week, and we're expecting them to start actually installing those components probably late this week or early next week. So today we're recommending their pay request number 2 in the amount of $251,343.87.
With the recommendation of the engineers to base sea level, their request number 2 in the amount of $251,343.87. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none.
And lastly is Morganza to the Gulf Reach Jail. This is from the west side of Apache Farm all the way out to Grand Bayou. That work has been approved by CPRA to begin advertising. Mitch and I have been working closely with several of the pipeline companies over the last few weeks, just to get a few little minor issues ironed out. Everything's going fine with that, so we're anticipating beginning to start advertising on that project late this week. That's it.
Any questions, Neil? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Delta Coast Consultants.
Mitch is not here.
That's it, Rich is just not here.
I sent him to work with England to do the budget, and I said always go together, you know.
Okay, tell them I express request to be here next time. Or else we'll get Safina and have him arrested. Okay, all sound consultants.
So we're having a non-meeting.
It's gonna take 5 or 6 people to bring it in.
First project I'm gonna report on is emergency rehabilitation of Reach Case wall material, phase 2. This is a contract with Sea Level for a shaping, which you're paying on a day rate for the operations out there. They continue to shape the west bank of Grand Bayou. The first effort out there was to shape up the dredge material that was put up about some years ago. That's been completed 100%. They moved on to shaping the material that was bought in by what's known as the 55,000 yard contract. And they're probably about a little past halfway done with shaping that up. I believe by the end of this week, weather holds out, that they'll probably be all the way from the northern end all the way to the south water control structure, and they'll just have the material that they've been trucking in from the southern end, from Oak Point Road, that material left to work.
So pretty soon, what's gonna be the typical height of K when you finish with that?
Well, we utilize what was available. It's not uniform, so it's no more than 12 at some places, which are good, probably 30–40% of it's at 12. And the lowest elevation that we built a template to is 8-foot elevation.
Okay, that's a big improvement, you know, that you had basically a 3–4 foot elevation through last hurricane. Now 8 feet is substantial.
The only caveat to that is over the water control structures would be about a 6, just because you're
But I mean, you
limited
can
by
bring in some.
temporary measures over a 100-foot section.
Maintain that 8-foot elevation. And that can make a difference.
So in that contract, a few months back, we had extended the work on that for additional barge material. And we've had exhausted our T&M deal for our inspection on that. So we have an item on your agenda for amendment number 3. To add an additional $37,250 for resident inspection on this project. Go forward, see this to the end.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of engineers to continue sea level application amendment number 3, the amount of $37,250.
That's gonna be amendment to all solid file inspection, not to sea level.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, that's sea level written down, excuse me. Also, okay, same thing, moving back, second over it, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
So the next item is a pay application from Sea Level for the work they perform under this contract. And it's pay application number 8. And that's in the amount of $57,317.91.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the other one. Sea level application number 8, amount of $57,317.81 as recommended by engineers. No wishes. Moved by Keith, second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Just like to mention under that same deal that we originally started out with 2 dozers and excavator or 2. We ended up with 4 track trucks at one time, and we was able to move what we needed to and scale that down. Now we're down to only one dozer on that contract. Next contract I'm gonna speak on is supply and deliver material lost to Reach Cape during Hurricane Barry. Sea Level has they hauled pretty much the whole contract value, 66,345 cubic yards, 67,000 yards. The contract is complete with the barging operations, and the remaining contract volume, the couple hundred yards, we're gonna use to cap off the southern end by Old Point Road where they were hauling in right there. So we'll do that on the way out. And the contractor, although he's brought that volume to the levee, he still has a good bit of stockpile on the Old Point side on the southern end. So he's gonna take another 2 weeks or so probably to haul that to the actual location on the levee where it's needed. Sea Level had a pay application this month, application number 6, a recommended amount of $305,766.37.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have the recommendation of engineers to pay sea level application number 6 in the amount of $305,766.37. Moved by Monty, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you think we'll have to apply for the FEMA for a loan? No, these figures that they throw out, okay, don't need the money. Okay, gentlemen, any questions about it? Moving on to legal permits and rights of ways. Mitch is not here.
We have 2 permits. One is Cantium, they're doing some work in Bay Marchand, there's a well, SLL 1367, well number 70, and also installing 19,000 linear feet of flow line. And again, that's out of our system, that's in Bay Marchand. So that's the letter of no objection. And then we have Apache, he is actually asking for a permit today, and this is in their property, to build portable ramp. And that's part of the job, Neil's job, so we suggest we have no objection to that also.
Okay, we've had 2 recommendations for two requests. Permits, Joe Gentleman, move it over, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Attorney, have anything to? I had a request for an executive session at the end of this meeting to discuss a matter. So we'll move on to Finance Committee, Mike.
Okay, the finance committee met today and we recommend paying all invoices till we run out of money. No, invoices presented.
Till we get the loan.
Till we get the loan.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of the engineer to be able to present, our engineer. Well, I gave you a promotion there. Our finance man is to pay all bills as presented. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Keith. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And Personnel Committee will have no report for this.
Okay, any old business? Any old business? Any new business?
Mr. President, just wanna summarize on the capital outlay. So, we have $1 million that was moved over, making the total available for Neil's project in retail to $8.5 million, was 7.5. And we have $10 million of capital outlay that got appropriated for Morganza. Our plans are to recommend $4 million of that 10 go to Reach K on the dredging job to get the remaining 600,000 cubic yards bucket dredge, similar to what Lafourche has done in that borough now. So that will be probably in the next month or two. But now we have the funding, I guess, to do the construction of it.
Any other new business? Any other new business? Okay, we did have a request for executive session, right? Okay, gentlemen, we need to go to executive session. We need to vote to go into it, right?
Yep.
We need a voice vote, a voice vote, a motion and a voice vote.
And a vote count.
Okay, moved by Monty, second by Keith, executive session. No wishes, gentlemen. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Roll
Thank you,
call.
gentlemen.
We gotta do a roll call.
Oh, I thought it said voice vote.
Yes, we do.
Okay,